when Our Lady appeared at Fatima, one of the things she said was, more souls go to hell because of the sins of impurity than any other sin. The one who realizes this most of all has been the devil in hell. And he has been doing everything in his power, especially the past 40, 50 years, to get as many people as possible to get involved with sins of impurity. And he's used the most clever methods. Let me give you just two of them. Very few people are well aware of the influence of pornography on the internet. At present time, here in the United States, there are 4.2 million pornographic websites. 4.2 million pornographic websites. Why so many? Because they generate so much money. According to some of the studies that I've gone over, pornography in this country makes more dollars than all the baseball, football, basketball franchises in the country. It makes more money than the income of the three major television networks, ABC, NBC, CBS. Can you imagine that? And according to another study I read, AT&T broadband can make between $20 and $30 million a year from its pornographic websites. No doubt what is happening is a number of people think that because they are in the anonymity of their own homes, they can view whatever they see, whatever they wish to see, without any consequence whatsoever. But that is not true. Pornography is addictive, perhaps more so even than heroin or some other drug. It has all kinds of consequences. It leads to the demeaning of women, for example. They're looked upon more as things now, not about persons who deserve a certain respect. It also leads and confirms homosexuality. In most of the cases now involving our priests, according to Father Groeschel, who's dealt with a number of individuals, of all those he dealt with, only one was a pedophile. Only one. All the rest are homosexuals. And in my experience, I know that so many of these priests are deeply involved with internet pornography, which in turn leads them to try and live it out in real life. That's why we have these huge settlements. What was it, $85 million in Boston? And then the most recent one was in Covington, Kentucky for $120 million. Not pedophilia, homosexuality. Homosexuality stirred up, of course, by this constant viewing of this absolute corruptible thing on the internet. I don't know if you've ever seen some of this business. I have had to deal with it, unfortunately, and have had to confront an individual with the proof in my hand. It is really unbelievably corrupt. How anybody can view it is beyond me entirely. Now, the devil, being very clever, has inspired these gentlemen seeking money to do all kinds of tricks in order to get their message across, so to speak. I talked to one of our people. They knew very little about the internet. They went to a website, and all of a sudden they found they're in the midst of a pornographic website. They tried desperately to get off. Kept trying and trying and trying. It got worse and worse. They're ready to throw up right there in front of the screen. And what's even more insidious is the way they attack children. They put up an innocent website, lead the child by step by step by step into a very, very severe pornographic website, and then they feel they have the child. The devil has been very successful, and he continues so to this day. Another case showing the devil's ingenuity, is sex education. Sex education. I made a point a number of years ago to go through a series of textbooks offering this particular thing. So I'm in grade kindergarten and going to 12th grade. I examined the books going basically for the elementary school. You would not believe what's contained in those books. And I'm talking now about some of these series being used in Catholic schools. In Catholic schools. As the English author Peter Hitchens has said in an article, "We reap what we sow." If the schools gave lessons in shooting and then handed out to the kids free pistols and bullets, you might expect to have a lot of gunfire in the streets, because stupid ideas have stupid consequences. And the same thing happens in sex education. You keep telling this to children over and over and over and over again. Is it any wonder we have so many pregnancies outside of marriage? Is it any wonder so many marriages break up when they think it's nothing but a business of plumbing? How then do you contradict this? It's by devotion to our Blessed Lady. First, parents should be very careful what their children see on the internet. Some sites seem at the very beginning very innocent, and they end up being far from innocent. Sex education, parents need to read the books. Go over the books very carefully. The whole point behind sex education is very simple. It was expressed by the former head of Planned Parenthood, who formed a corporation called SECA, Sex Information Education in the United States, to beget future patrons for their clinics. He actually said this. And their point behind sex education is this: to rob the children of their innocence and their purity. And once their innocence and purity has been robbed from them, stolen from them, taken away by force from them, by clever force, how do you ever regain it? It almost becomes an impossibility. Here again, parents have to be very, very careful and check very carefully what textbooks their children might come across. The answer to both, of course, is devotion to Our Lady, because she is the essence and the example of purity. And that's why the devil hates her so much. He realizes that those who are with her will be pure, and that he cannot attract them into his snare by impurity. So I say to you, keep this very much in mind. Another thing that comes to mind is very simply this. The devil has been extremely successful, especially during these past 40 years. And because of all these various snares he has set for our people, what has happened to our Catholic Church? What has happened to our priests? What has happened to our sisters? What has happened to our lay people? As a consequence of these tactics of the devil, so many of our people have lost the faith. That's why, in great measure, mass attendance in this country now is down to, one poll said, what, 17%? The devil's got them. And once he snares them, he takes them away, of course, from our dear Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and of course anything having to do with him. But it's even cleverer than that. The devil convinces some of our Catholic people still to go to church, but they don't believe. Walk into almost any Catholic church today, and what will you see? You might have greeters at the door. You might have people talking, talk. I remember once I went to another church. I'm in the sacristy before Mass, and I cannot believe what I hear. People shouting across the church, "How you doing, Joe? How's everything going with the family?" And on I went. The same thing happens, of course, after Mass. So how can they possibly believe that Jesus Christ is truly here in the tabernacle? Their primary concern is with each other and not with him. So you know the 70% who do go, how many have the faith? I hate to be put against the wall and ask the number, for I fear it would have to be very low. In any case, the answer here is, of course, devotion to our Blessed Lady. If you stay close to her, make sure your children stay close to her, then you have the defense you need to ward off his various attacks, no matter how clever they may be. And if you're not with her, you are an easy prey for him.